Sign up to the SBR Network and use your free daily bet points to earn real-world prizes. Click on the page and start winning now.
Hi, welcome to SBR Forum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are continuing our betting updates of the National League divisions right now with Doug Upstone. Today is Thursday, May 8th. Doug, thanks for being back with us.
Peter, my pleasure to be back. And hey, you know what? Any day you can talk about baseball is a great day.
I would agree with that. All right, the NL Central is what we're going to discuss now. NL Central, interesting division. 4 of the 5 teams have been terrible bets on the year. St. Louis minus 8.5% ROI, Cincinnati minus 15%, Pitt minus 16%, and the Cubs, no shock there, minus 24%. The NL Central, though, does have the number 1 team in baseball so far to date. The best team to bet overall in baseball, that's Milwaukee at plus 23% overall. Let's start with Milwaukee. You know, number 1 team, the best team to have bet on in baseball so far. Do you think that continues?
I think it's going to slack, some. But Peter, if you remember our spring training conversations in the Cactus League, I told you that I thought the Brewers were going to be a much improved team this year. And basically all the reasons that I gave have proven to be true. Their starting rotation has been very good all season. All 5 guys. Their bullpen has. Because the rotation has been good, their bullpen has been solid because they've been able to place the right guys in. And offensively, they have done enough in terms of scoring. So, yeah, this has been a very good team. Now, do I expect them to continue this? No, I don't. Does that mean that they're play against material? No. I think the Brewers, until they prove differently, you have to continue to, at least look to back the Brewers. And especially next week when they get Ryan Braun back, that will definitely help the offense, improve going forward.
All right, I'll tell you, I'm a little bit nervous about the Brewers, and definitely when Braun comes back, maybe we want to revisit everything. But, their offense, they have a decent offense, but I think it's overachieved a little bit. Their bullpen looks like it's coming back a little bit down to earth, and they just lost 2 out of 3 at home to Arizona, and, they're not playing like a dominant, number 1 team to bet on in baseball.
Oh, I mean, they are definitely not a dominant team. I mean, this is still a team that I'm looking at to win, 84, 85 games. So no, it is definitely not a dominant team. But they have achieved, and in this case, overachieved, to where they are. And the one thing that really has impressed me overall is they're 11-4 as underdogs so far this year. Now, will that trend continue? We'll see. But I mean, I like what they've done. I've liked what they've achieved. And looking ahead, I think this is a team that still has to be taken seriously. The rest of the division is not playing well, so I think there's still opportunity for them to pick up victories when they have division games. And their lines aren't going to be inflated by any stretch because they are the Brewers.
Right. All right, so let's take a look at the rest of the NL Central. Like I said, all 4 teams have been bad bets on the year. Good bets against Cincinnati. They used to have a dominant bullpen. Right now, they have the 2nd worst bullpen ERA in the National League. Cincinnati minus 15%. St. Louis usually has a good lineup that hits a lot. Their lineup has stalled. They've not been producing that many runs. They're minus 8.5%. The Cubs, not a shock there, minus 24%. Pitt minus 16%. That's a little bit surprising because Pitt has recently been a very undervalued team. I think of all 4 of these teams, I think maybe the safest bet is just to bet on the Cubs being an awful bet and a good bet against to continue.
Yeah, I've seen Houston. I don't know who's worse, and in the one case that I'll say the Cubs are actually worse than Houston because Houston has a load of young players, so at least they have an excuse. The Cubs lineup has a lot of veteran players by their own choice. So from that standpoint, I don't see how they're going to continue to play well or continue to do well in any shape or form, unless they start bringing up some of these minor leaguers that they're so high on. And I don't see that happening. And it's a shame because, for people that would like to bet Jeff Samardzija as their pitcher, I mean, here's a guy that's pitched 7 games, does not have a victory personally, and has an ERA of 1.62, which is 2nd in the National League. I mean, that's a waste every single time he goes out to pitch. And and then also for bettors, I mean, you're having games that should be victories, and you're getting them stolen from you either because of the lack of run support or because of a poor bullpen.
Yeah, that's what, I once wrote a song parody to House of the Rising Sun about betting on the Chicago Cubs, and I wrote it a few years ago. I actually wrote it a few years ago when I couldn't believe how bad of a bet they were year after year after year, and it's continuing this year. Yeah, Jeff Samardzija actually has been one of the worst pitchers to bet on in all of baseball so far this year. The Cubs have lost 6 of his 7 starts, and he's minus 5 units overall, despite how well he's actually pitched on the mound.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. I mean, so it just tells you how bad this team actually is. Like I say, Castro's, he seems to be an okay player. Rizzo has improved. He's much better against left-handers as their first baseman against left-handed pitching. But the rest of this team, it's ugly and it's not going to get better.
What's your take on St. Louis? You think their offense is going to start producing at some point?
You'd like to think so, but here's the thing that I wonder about. Now, I think Matt Holliday, who's gotten off to a rugged start, I think he definitely will warm up like the St. Louis Summers. But I'm not sure. They made some potentially tactical errors in this team, and from the general manager's perspective, because Johnny Peralta, now he does have a lot of home runs so far for them, but Peralta's not hitting. Alan Craig continues to struggle. Peter Borges in center field, he's not hitting well below 200, and they've had to go to veteran journeyman Mark Ellis to play second base because their rookie Wong, that's not easy to say by the way, he's a bust to this point. So I'm not sure this offense is going to be as potent as the past, and I think our preconceived notions coming into the season about the Cardinals offense just rolling again might be off a little bit, and I think they're going to have to depend more on pitching. Not to say that I still like them to improve as a bet. Again, we're not that far into the season, but I would certainly use a little caution in looking at the Cardinals, at least for now.
Okay, and then Cincinnati, do you think that their negative ROI is going to continue? Right now they're minus 15% overall in the year. Like I said, second worst bullpen ERA in the National League, and their offense, as we know, is pretty weak overall. The only strength of them is they do have some great arms in their starting rotation. Is that enough to keep them profitable? I don't think so. What do you think? Do you think Cincinnati continues to be
I would agree with you, Peter. I would agree with you. I really like their pitching. I think their bullpen. Chapman should be back before too long. I think their bullpen will improve. But now losing Jay Bruce, to torn meniscus, so he'll be out. This offense wasn't that good with him. You subtract him out of that, I'm just not sure where all the runs are going to come from, even in a bandbox like they play in at Great American Ballpark.
All right, so our forecast for the NL Central, to sum up: continue betting against the Cubs, continue betting against Cincinnati, probably continue betting against St. Louis. Not going crazy, but expect them to be at least a slightly profitable bet betting against. And as far as Milwaukee is concerned, expect maybe 50-50, but definitely don't blindly bet on them.
Exactly.
All right, thanks so much, Doug. Now let's move on to the West.